Hello everyone, good morning, happy Monday. I hope that you have had a really great weekend. What I'd like you to do actually is in the comments below, tell me what you did on the weekend. Either, what you did or who you spent time with or one word to describe your weekend. And so we can share and get to know each other a little bit. I'd love to hear what you're up to, and I'm sure there's others as well who would love to hear how your weekend was. So I hope that it was good for me. I rescheduled things a little bit to be able to put some self-care in place. So I ended up going for a drive in the country and got to experience or have my fix of a fire. So, last week I was talking about how do you, get through winter, and for me one of the ways is to make sure I'm around fire, so that's good. And I can see on the page here that everybody liked my little video, so that's really cool. And I spent time with friends and family, and actually spent some time kicking the footy with my nephew, which was really fun. My body is sore now, but that's all good. So tell me in the comments, what is it that you did on the weekend and how are you feeling kind of going into the week? So what I wanted to do in this live today is talk, remind you what self-care is, and also why I'm doing these Facebook Lives. As a way to kind of keep us focused and on track about what we're doing, and how hopefully it will help all of us to kind of have an intention for the week. So I wanted to share with you my favorite definition of self-care, and it comes from Lucille Zimmerman. She's an author, counselor from the US, and she says self-care just means putting yourself on the list. It means valuing yourself enough to know you need to spend time resting, setting boundaries, and engaging in activities that make you happy or cared for without feeling guilty. So when we think about self-care, one of the things I love about Lucille's definition is that it's about valuing yourself. And because we can do all these nice things for ourselves, and we can learn to say no, and we can go for walks and breathe properly and eat right and exercise and do, as I said, nice things for ourselves. But if we're doing all of that out of duty, it's not actually going to have a massive effect on ourselves from our emotional well-being. And so when we can learn to value who we are, that's when we naturally start doing these other things. And so I guess something at Journeys, one of my visions is to help people get to know themselves better, to value who they are, so they can share that person with the world. And so if we don't actually know who we are, we actually can't value who we are. Therefore, we probably won't treat ourselves very nicely. So I love this concept around value and valuing who we are and valuing our strengths and valuing our imperfections as well, because that's part of what makes us us. And so I wanted to kind of just review that. And then the self-care tip for this week is all about our schedule. Now, I'm an open book in some ways, and a lot of these lives come from the things that I'm learning or relearning from week to week as well. So I have always said that self-care is a lifelong journey. It may never be mastered, and so it needs to be practiced. And so what I wanted to encourage you in this week is we need to learn to take control of our schedule, or our schedule tends to control us. And so I want to ask you, are you feeling overwhelmed, like life is just go, 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 go? You're kind of going from this thing to that thing, to work, to picking up the kids, to social events, to church things, to whatever it is, next meeting that's going on. Oh, wait, then I need to exercise and I want to eat well, but I'm so busy that I'm just not eating well. That is what overwhelms me in my life, is when I feel like I'm going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next all the time, and I feel like I don't have any control, in a sense, over what's going on in my life. In order to be able to take control of our schedule, it's really important that we know what's important to us. So I talk about values a lot in the work that I do. It's important that we spend time working out what is it that is actually really important in our life? What is it that we value most? Because when we know that, we actually can then start to know how much time we spend in each part of our lives. So you may have heard of the time management tool called Big Rocks. So the idea is that if you had a container of big rocks, medium-sized rocks, small rocks, and then sand and then water, if you put the water in first and then the sand, then the medium-sized rocks and then the big rocks, actually the container overflows. But so it's an analogy for the big rocks are the most important things in our life and the container is our life. If we actually put the big things in first, so make time in our schedule, in our life for the big things, when we have the medium-sized things and the little things and the sand and the water, those things naturally figure out where to fit in our life. But if we try and put all of those things, maybe things that can be known as time wasters, and you know what they are because they're different in everybody's life. If we put the big rocks in first, the things that are most important in our life, then all of the other stuff kind of, as I said, sorts itself out. Or if we don't have space for it, it's okay if it doesn't get done or if we don't spend time doing that. So I want to ask you, so values, taking control of our schedule. The action is stopping. You might have to relook at your calendar. As I said, for me, this has been a huge reminder in the last few days, in the last week. I'm starting to go, oh my gosh, okay, May is almost done and I'm looking at June and I have forgotten how much I've got scheduled for June. And so on the weekend, I spent a little bit of time just re-looking at my calendar and kind of going, okay, what needs to, be put on hold for a little while? What and what things can be rescheduled? What things have to happen because there's either a major commitment or it's a commitment that's in line with your values. There are other things that can be put on hold for a time. And so I want to encourage you to take action. Sit down, make yourself a cuppa and have a look at your calendar and see if it's looking overwhelming for you right now. Have a look and ask yourself, what is it that I can just put to the side for now? And just that action is self-care. That's valuing who we are so that we can be the best to those around us. And so for me, I have lots of different hats in my life. And so it's about asking myself, how can I wear all those hats but do it effectively? And sometimes that means rescheduling something so that in the future when I continue to do that or I have that meeting or whatever it is, I'm actually going to be fully present. As well as that, it means that I can focus on those things that are a priority for this going into this month, based on my values and based on the things that I've committed to that I can't get out of or I don't want to get out of because of my values. So the values are a huge part and it's actually really important that we look at those. So I want to leave you with that today. I hope this week, make that your intention to relook at what are your values and also relook at what's most important in your life. Now, if you're in a family as well, do this with your husband or wife or your partner or your kids and sit down and kind of go, what's most important? And are we feeling overwhelmed or are we feeling okay? So I hope that's helpful. As I said, put in the comments what you're up to on the weekend. And please, if you've got any questions at all, pop them in the comments as well or send me a private message and I'm happy to answer those. So I hope you have a great week, everyone. And remember, take control of your schedule or it will control you. Have a good week. Bye.